Moral self. Hello everyone. Today's discussion is about the moral self, personal value, and philosophy of life. Introduction. Every day we are confronted with problems and dilemmas. Solving this requires one to decide on what kind of action or response to make, and what action or response we make is fueled by our own moral reasoning and our idea of what are moral behaviors. In this module, you will be acquainted with what are the concepts related to morality. How do we form our moral reasoning based on Piaget and Kohlberg's theory? And how can parenting styles and practices affects not only our ability to create morally acceptable behaviors, but also how it affects ourselves as a whole? Now, starting with Nika Marie. Can you start?
So, what is the system of the beliefs and values that ensures that individuals will keep their obligations? So, ang obligasyon ay nagsisimula sa mga bawat may mga obligasyon sa loob ng bahay. Bawat obligasyon niyang magluto, si kuya naman sa kantin at si bunso naman sa mga kapatid. Ito ang mga paniniwala na makakabuti sa atin bilang isang tao. Mga tinuro sa atin ng ating mga magulang na makakatulong sa mga desisyon natin sa buhay. So, what is the problematic situation in which a difficult choice must be made? So, ito yung nararanasan natin in daily life. Ito yung tema na mahirapan ka talaga mag-choice. Para ma-solve ito, be practical sa lahat ng decision mo sa buhay. Dapat isipin mo palagi first, kasi ka slide. So, what is moral? Related to the sense or a standard that determines what is right and what is wrong. Bata pa lang tayo, tinuruan na tayo ng parents natin ang tamang asal at gawain. Like, bawal magnakaw, mag-cheat, bawal maglukot. Sa tama naman ay magdasal, magmano ng So, next is considering what is correct or incorrect in a given situation. This is discerning what is appropriate or inappropriate behavior elicited in a given event in a given environment. So do it right, but and also choose better than good. Next, moral reasoning. So what is moral reasoning? The judgment people makes about what sources of action are correct or incorrect in particular way. The judgment of other people impact behavior of mental of skill which influence development.
Tapos, next.
The next topic is discussed by Trixie.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am about to report John Piaget's stages of intellectual development. Um, John Piaget is a Swiss psychologist known for his work on child development. One of his important works is the stages of developmental development. Next. First stage is the sensory motor stage. It ranges from 0 to 2 years old. It is characterized as a stage with major character and developmental changes. The infant knows the world through their movements and situation and sensation. In this stage, it is also the time of what we call object permanence, which means that children do not have the idea that things or people exist and do not disappear just because they cannot see or them. Age children cannot understand mental representations. They don't understand what they are seeing. They lack the ability to understand things right in front of them. Kung ang isa ka bagay abigin butang sa tubang nanda, tapos gulping mo lang ginbuol, matingala sa lain sa nadura to. Next slide. Next. ah. Pre-operational stage. The child is now able to think symbolically and learn to use words and pictures to represent objects. Um, sa amo ka nga stage, the children lack the ability to perform operations or tasks. They only view the world from their own point of view. Excuse me. Sorry. They only view the world from their own point of view. They think everybody has the same preference as they do. On the other hand, on the bright side, they can speak languages and identify pictures. For example, there are two glasses at the same size, filled with water at the same amount. Now, there is another cylindrical glass poured with the same amount like the two glasses had. Let the child identify what glass has more water. They will think that the tall glass has more water because it is taller than the rest. Next. Concrete operations stage. It ranges from 7 to 11 years old. Logical thinking is now present, which means more and organized ideas is already guiding the individual's decision. Um, the child now learns, although one still struggles with abstract and hypothetical concepts, the individual is now less egocentric. Hindi rin sa dati na kaugalingan ng saan dalang panirika ng pag-intindi ng da. But sa amo ka nga stage, they lack they lack in abstract logic and moral reasoning. They can understand concrete events. In this stage, the child learns the value of money. They can identify why 5 or 20 peso bill has the same amount as 100 peso bill. They can um, they can compute mathematical operations. They can understand the value of money. Next, please. The last stage is the formal operations stage. It ranges from 11. The individual is now a person which is capable of abstract thinking. As one learns about different concepts through formal education and experience, the individual is now acquainted with topics on morality, philosophy, ethics, and society, which helps foster one's ability to reason. In this stage, children can finally think abstractly and can reason hypothetically. They can reason and overcome dilemma and solve them as an adult. In a stage, a child can already decide on their own and make decisions by themselves. Sa stage nga dya, maka-desisyon na sanda nga sanda lang kay makaintindi ra sanda kung ano ang mayad kananda. Um, the next topic will be discussed by John Lu and Jin.
Okay. So good afternoon everyone. I'm about to report Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development. So Lawrence Kohlberg was an American psychologist best known for his theory of stages of moral development. Kohlberg's theory of moral development is divided into levels: pre-conventional morality, conventional morality, and principles of post-conventional morality. Each level is characterized by stages in which one's more developed is focused, which is then accompanied by the reason of moral behavior of a person that will be discussed below. What's the next one? So, Kohlberg, yes, sabi ko, diba? So, sa pre-conventional, may ara na sa stages, duha ka stages ang leisure plane orientation, cost-benefit orientation, reciprocity, tapos may ara sa reasoning for moral behavior to avoid pain, punishment, or getting to get reward. So, bali sa first theory ni Kohlberg's, nag-focus in sa individual consequences. Nag-focus in sa individual consequences sa pag-determine sang sakto or sala nga naobra kay sa kabata. For example, arang masama akong pababayaan ko ang aking bunsong kapatid dahil papagalitan ako ng aming ina. So bali sa dira naisip niya kung anong matabo if pabayaan niya iyang manghod. So amo na ang preconventional daw nagakuan sa sang consequences kag avoid sa mga dumalain nga matabo sa iya bla. Daw na. So ang next page, next slide. So ang conventional morality may araman sa nga duha ka stages ang good child orientation kag law and order orientation. Tapos may reasoning for moral behavior to gain acceptance and avoid disapproval, to follow rules and avoid censor by authorities. So bali sa conventional morality, so diri naman na theory naga base ang isa ka tawo sa mga support tools na na-adapt niya sa iya nga parents, peers, or sa mga nasa palibot niya bla. In short, nag-base siya sa mga approval na nag-alternate during a person's output. For example, I better not drink kasi baka mababa ang tingin sa akin ng mga kaibigan ko. So balik, mas ginaisip niya kung ano ang balance ang iba sa iya pag uyaw brahon. So for pananaw ka iba, mas na sa conventional. Tapos ang next critical guides called or post-conventional morality. So sa diri naman nga theory, ang may araman sa nga tatlo ka stages. Parang social contract orientation, ethical principle orientation, cosmic orientation, at sa reason for moral behavior, to promote the welfare of society, to achieve justice and avoid condemnation, to be true universal principles and feel oneself part of cosmic direction transcend social norms. So, bale, ang napansin ang individual ay tumulaw ng pasok na tao na sa lipunan. So, bale, parang no sa kamo sa ay pakita sa blada, parang mas lumagalaw sa individual ang isang bagay na higit sa ekspektasyon ng mga tao o lipunan sa kanya. So, amo na ang principle for post-conventional morality. So, sa iba nga mas damo sa kaya nga maobra, malapawan pa ang ekspektasyon ng ibang nga tao. So, dira lang. So, the next topic will be discussed by John Lu and Jen Vincent. Jen Vincent,
Okay, parenting parenting styles and practices of parents to children. Parenting styles and practices of practices are considered as environmental influence characterized by forces outside of the individual. It is how one has been raised or reared by their parents. So, ang parenting styles and practices are very important for child development because ginadala sang child kung ano ang ilang kung ano ang gintudlo sang ilang ginikanan halin sa paggamay nila hasta pagdako. Foundations of moral reasoning and development are laid at home. What happens home, especially during the growing up years, is critical to personality development. So ang kung ano ang nagakatabo sa home, kung ano nakikita ang mga child, ginaano na self ano nila ginaubraman nila daw ginapakita man nila sa mga tao like kung para sinabi nagailinaway ilang ano ang away si nanay niya kag si tatay sa balay. So it means sa sagwa or magkatusabi sa ano sa school pwede sa nga maging hanggod gid ang possibility nga magiging bully siya kay kung ano ang nakikita niya sa balay nila. Most parents combine different style in child rearing. So ang sa mga parents, ang pag-rear sang isa ka parents sa child nila nakadepende man sa sila kung if ano sila dang stricto sila nga parents nga like ginabawalan ng ilang mga bayi nga bata magano magwa umpisa pa lang sa 6 p.m. sa ano sa gabi or ano na ginapabayan nila ang ilang mga child nga mag-party-party sa gwa biskan like mga mag-night out. So naka-base man na sa parents kung paano nila i-rear ang ilang child. Parenting styles according to Diana Baumrin 1967 and Maccabee and Martin 1983 are discussed in the next slide. So next slide please.
Authoritarian. Parents attempt to shape descriptions. Parents attempt to shape, control, and evaluate the behavior and attitudes for their children in accordance with an absolute set of conduct standards that usually comes from religious or respected authorities. Use harsh discipline and punishment. Obedience becomes a virtue. Parents do not communicate well with their children. Do not explain the reasons for the rules and consequence of actions. Doesn't listen to their children's side. May use force to ensure compliance. Effects: parents are demanding. Children have less behavioral problems which are easily prevented. Children reared in this kind of parenting style become withdrawn, fearful, and dependent. The child may suffer from low self-esteem. Traits can be carried until they grow up. Authoritarian is a type of parenting style that is very strict. For example, ang rules ka mga parents naton dapat masunod gyud dapat. Kag di kadton magreklamo pa. Another example is kung wala ka nagpati or disobey mo ang rules nanda, makapaton gid kita sa punishment. It can be mental or physical nga pag-punish sa aton. Gakastrikto sila kay gusto nila nga manginmayad kita nga bata, kag balid og ginahatagan nila kita sa mga lessons sa pagiging strikto nanda sa aton. This style is low in parental responsiveness and high in parental demandingness. Authoritarian parents are not very emotional or affectionate, and critical of their children if they fail to meet their expectations. Rules should always be used to conduct behavior that is desired. When a child breaks a rule, it should be an opportunity to teach a life lesson and not be punished because they did not follow the rules. Unfortunately, strong punishment leads to misbehavior, rebellion, and results in constant power struggles. Authoritative descriptions direct their children's activity in a rational and intelligent way, loving, supportive, and committed, give and take relationship, discuss the rules and policies with their children, offering explanations, encourage a home having an open communication, like children can present their side. Effects: children learn to be independent, reliable, rational, and confident. Children generally feel good about themselves. Authoritative is a type of parenting style that is warm, accepting, and supportive. For example, support ang aton parents sa aton para maging success kita sa urihi. Open kita sa mga bagay-bagay sa aton parents. Gahatag sila mayad nga pagdisiplina sa aton kag gina-guide nila kita sa insakto kung may sala kita. Kag biskan makasala kita, wala nanda kita ginasikit or ginahambalan sang malain, kundi ginahambalan lang kita kung insakto kag gina-guide nila kita. In that way, maka-learn kita nga okay lang nga mag-fail kita kay hindi man tanan perpekto. Kids raised by authoritative parents are more likely to become independent, self-reliant, socially accepted, academically successful, and well-behaved. They are less likely to report depression and anxiety, and less likely to engage in antisocial behavior like delinquency and drug use. The next slide will be reported by nagali
Okay,
ni Janlo.
style. Okay, styles, permissive. Descriptions, less controlling and behave in an accepting and non-punishing attitude towards the children's desires, action, and impulses. Reason, direct power, warm and supportive but not to influence roles. So like ginahatagan ka sang mga mga rules ang imong ginikanan nga patihon mo dapat para para like maano mo may ginagaydan ka para maging may ginagaydan ka o para maging good child. Sa they rarely impose rules and non-punishing. Children do not put structures in order in case they do anything goes. So may ginagaydan sila. So it means like magiging go ang tsansa nga maging maging rebellious children, rebellious children sa ilang ginikanan kay like sila ginagaydan sila sang ila ginikanan sang mga rules nga dapat nila patihon. Next slide please. Sa styles, uninvolved or neglectful. Descriptions, hands off. Ang sa descriptions, hands off, like wala sila pakialam sa imo aside nila like kung ano imo nga gusto nga obrown sa kabuhi like paagi na pabayat nila. Sa effects, detached and indifferent parents to the needs of their children. Children are feeling unloved and cannot follow instructions. Fall for substance abuse, negative behavior to distract themselves. Like so, it means ang epekto sa children is like wala hindi mabatsigan sa children nga ginalab sila sa parents nila kay wala ipakialam children ang ila parents sa kung ano man ang ginaobra nila sa ilang life.
And that sums up our report for moral self, personal value, and philosophy of life.
So, good afternoon, everyone. For today's discussion, we are going to lecture about the social self, nature, and depth of relationships, attitudes, and stereotypes. For, for today's discussion, backslide na. Backslide. Tara dyan. So, for today's discussion, we're going to tackle or define intimate relationships, then attract attraction and its principles, Love, The Triangular Theory of Love by Sternberg, 1985, Attitudes and Stereotypes. Next. For the introduction. In love, the paradox occurs that two beings become one yet remain two. So this means that we this means that we are two beings, but our our things is mutual. For short, mutual understanding. So, relationships are important in the creation of ourselves, for they supplement us with necessary support and lessons we need to navigate and survive our everyday hustle. In this module, you will be acquainted with lessons on relationships, how do people get attracted to other individuals, the complex concept of love, and how people form attitudes and stereotypes. Next. So, intimate relationship. Intimate relationships are relationships between two people that often involves a deep knowledge about each other. This means that um, the two couples, sa dalawa kaninyo, maybe, um, what you call this, um, maybe you are in a long-term relationship. So, para magkaroon ka mo ng deep knowledge sa isa kag isa. Then, when there's an intimate relationship, the following values are practiced like caring, mutual, interdependent, trusting, and committed. So, you no longer me and but us and we. Um, this simply means for short, um, kumbaga sa relationship, hindi na lang ikaw ang nagapadalagan kaya kundi kamo daro. So, that's all. Next. Why do people involve themselves in intimate relationships in the first place? First, having intimate relationship was an evolutionary adaptation that allowed our species to survive. So, this means that na-adapt from the word adoption. Kumbaga doon na-adapt dyan sa mga kinauna natin, ng mga ancestors. Kumbaga na panda lang doon nakita talangan nanda kag na doon nasunod na lang. Tapos, next, intimate relationships are also coming from the basic need to belong. From the word basic need to belong, do partner na kang atin nga basic need. Next, next reporter.
Kay Ray Janner nata.
Attraction and its principles. Attraction may lead to deeper relationship.
paves the way for enjoying the company and being comfortable with the other person and for feeling of ease and confidence. Um, amo ni siya ang komportable kag enjoy kay sa isa ka tawo kung upod mo siya. Every time nga upod mo siya, kag hindi mo ma-explain ang feeling nga time nga ano nga ga-enjoy ka mo. Next, interpersonal attraction. That is a psychological experience that played a crucial role in developing relationships. Um, ang interpersonal attraction amo ang gaka-experience mo kumbaga amo ni siyang role sa inyo nga duha para mag-develop ang inyo nga feelings or relationships. Next, attraction does not equate or guarantee love, but it opens the possibility of love. Amo ni siya kung gaka-attract ka, sample gaka-attract ka mga duha sa isa kag isa. Tapos amo ni ang possibility nga mag-open ang inyo nga relationship para kung mag-ano sa love. Next. Principle of attraction. Proximity and familiarity. Ang Number 2, physical attractiveness and reciprocity. Number 3, similarity and compatibility. One, proximity and familiarity. Ang proximity is na based research suggests that one of the best predictors is how close people live to each other. It means ang duwa ka kung if may close friends ka or best friends kung paano ka mo mag-updanay kag mag-live sa isa ka to each other. Ang familiarity means physical attractiveness. Research shows that romantic attraction is primarily determined. It means physical attractiveness mo sa isa ka tawo show sa ka romantic attraction sa isa man ka tawo. Next, closeness often determines who will be our friends and amo ni siya determine kung sinong imo friends and or lovers. Next, but overexposure can lead to boredom. Bernstein, 1989, as cited in Montel et al. 2013, that is why we need alone time, personal space time. Kung, kung mag kung mag-upod ka mo ka friend or barkada mo kung kumbaga overtime ma-overexposure nga of the nine syempre dumatak-an ka man na so kinanglan mo man time nga ikaw lang isa para makapanumdum ka or makapag-isip-isip para mag-refresh imo mind. At next, at best, familiarity enhances feelings of attraction to bring people together. It means sa ulihi to friend mo or barkada mo do ginakabig mo naman nga pamilya mo. So amo na gahinans ang feelings niyo sa isa kag isa magbarkada nay kagaka-attract ka mo kado komportable ka mo sa kada kag isa. Next.
Kay Renzorn, pre.
So next, the physical attractiveness and reciprocity. Physical attractiveness or beautiful people are perceived to have more positive characteristics compared to physically unattractive. But attractiveness, its and beauty is a social construct. Interestingly, people end up with others who are attractive as they are. So physical attractiveness plays a significant role in a relationship or in attraction. Kasi amo nang una sa tao. And here, but for people to like them and higher value of acceptance. Kala is in early stage kasi ang amo nang una tagakita sa mga tao. Next slide. So, reciprocity, muna siyang inaalbak sa isaw ulit. It states that they are more ability people to like you when you like them. Next,
Tapos na, pre.
next. Similarly, compatibility. Six, the development of intense relationship in long-term like being another person and is necessary concern for a close relationship to develop. People like to associate with us was getting them. So similarity and compatibility. So in here, it states that people are tend to more likely fall in love to people who are similar to them. Like you have this attitude, behavior patterns, personal characteristics, taste in fashion, intelligence, personality because having similar associate with next reporter.
Triangular Theory of Love, Robert Sternberg, 1985, involves the following factors. Passion is a physical and sexual attraction to another. Ang passion na mo ang magahilig nyo sa isa kag isa by physical and sexual to each other. Intimacy is an emotional feeling of warm closeness and sharing of the relationship. Kumbaga, kung ano gid bala ang ano nyo ang relationship nyo sa isa kag isa like kung mag-friends ka mo or jowa or handa mo karon la kag kung gaano ka strong kag gaano ka mo ka close ka amo nga person. Commitment, cognitive appraisal of the relationship and the intent to maintain it even in the face of problems. Kumbaga may ano ka mo may pangako ka mo sa isa kag isa sa amo nga relationship na kung may mga problema man ka mo agyan pag gastay ka mo pag ang pangako, nabalawan yung diba? The 8 types of relationship according to the triangular theory of love. Number one, non-love. Non-love is not intimacy, passion, and commitment. It's a casual relationship or acquaintance. Baga ay lang. Though why kati feelings or like passion or commitment kay syempre casual lang non-love. Number two, liking. Liking is intimacy but not passion and commitment. Liking is like when you like someone or may crush ka or you like you like your friends mo karan intimacy siya because uh, kung ano mo bla ka close ang isa ka tao kung gaano mo siya uh, ano ang relation. Romantic love is intimacy, passion, not commitment. It does not require commitment and may live as a summer love. Romantic love amo yang kumbaga wala ka mo commitment sa isa ka gisa pero pero may ano ka mo mila kumbaga do mas tala ka mo sa landi or amo ka lang pero wala ka mo commitment sa isa ka gisa. That's what we call summer of love affair. Balik. Siyempre. Next slide, pre. Companionate love is intimacy and commitment but not passion. Long happy marriage. Companionate love is kapag kay ka mo hihilig sa isa kag isa pero gusto nyo lang nga magstay ka mo gusto nila magstay ka mo magstay ang relationship nyo to be a long term. Ano ko ba? Next, empty love is the commitment but not intimacy and passion. It's arranged marriage and long-term relationship that have lost their warmth and passion. Kumbaga, ang empty love do wala na ginatawag na wala na kamo wala na do tawag na sa relationship nyo nga romantic do hindi nagaano ang inyong nga ano nga relationship grabe ang paglandian na inyo kumbaga do ang commitment na lang ang stay gusto nyo long term ang makaran until death. Infatuated love is a passion but not intimacy and commitment. Infatuous love is a passion and commitment but not intimacy. Whirlwind romance. It's infatuous love can be exemplified by a whirlwind courtship and marriage in which commitment is motivated largely by passion without stabilizing influence of intimacy. Pagka wala na wala na kamo intimacy sa isa sa isa do hindi wala na kamo passion nga mo mga ginahimo no kato baga gipabilin na lang ang inyong ano nga commitment. Consummate love is intimacy, passion, and commitment. The type of love that many people wish every but is very difficult to maintain over time. Kumbaga, ang turo tao nga amo ko dyan nga relationship pero gamay lang ang do stay ang ila relationship.
Next slide.
It's like uh,
Narciso.
attitudes are beliefs that predispose people to act and feel in a certain way towards people, objects,
Pre,
or ideas.
kay, ano,
The next topic will be discussed by
Narciso.
Attitude. Attitude are beliefs that predispose people to act and feel in certain way towards people, object, or ideas. Positive attitude. The positive attitude, example na ano na, pagiging pagpapakumbaba mo bala. So, hindi. Uminayang ka. Second, negative attitude. Defending ka. Lalo babae sa gid. Mo. Next slide. How attitude originates. First, bad experience. Negative experience wherein the wherein the person itself experience or witness. Like example, labi sa sa crime. Bali, ikaw ng witness, nakita mo gito personalan. So, amo rin. Witness, ikaw ang witness. They emerge good correct personal experience. Ikadala, account by the others. Meaning, na he or she is being influenced by other people. Ang attitude niya, nakuha yan sa iba niya tao, nairog yan sa iba niya tao. Attitude that emerge from observation or influence by someone. Next. Persuasion and attitude change. Persuasion communication plays a big part in attitude change. The index of change in the attitude depends on the speaker, the message, and the listener. You are more likely to be persuaded by the other speaker, attractive speaker, characteristic of the message, presentation of the message, and element of fear. So, ang persuasion and attitude change. Persuasion is a process of communication. Much of persuasion we experience comes from outside forces. How do people convince others to change their attitude and belief and behavior? For example, ikaw nga tao, ligoy. So, ara ang pamilya mo para mag-convince kanimo para maglain mo attitude, belief, kag behavior. So, na-convince ka nanda para magmayado mo kabuhi. Next slide. The next topic is kay Yen Vincent.
Stereotypes. Stereotypes is generalization in which the same traits or characteristics are assumed to be possessed by all members of a group. Outsiders experience. Ang stereotype is standards belief da isa ka society or a group of people sa mga bagay nga waay it kamaturan. Ang prejudice is an assumption or an opinion about someone simply based on a person's membership to a particular group. Example na is a Muslim people are often associated is judgment sa religion. Dang wrong judgment sa mga tao kay nabilong sanda sa isa ka certain group. Discrimination is a specific unfair behavior or treatments towards the member of a group. Ang example ka discrimination is what age discrimination. Dang ginakuan nga vlog na discriminates daw sa imong nga edad, like if a person is old, they are not capable to work. Next is racism and the stations towards race, like is they believe that they are superior to others. Like example na is white is superior to black. Sexism is discriminations towards sex and even gender. Example na is women are inferior than men. Dang discriminate ng daya isa ka babayi nga weak. Dang next ay next.
Na. So that's our report for social self nature and depth relationships.